everyone, I am Anubis, and this is your Out of Gas review. Out of Gas was a movie released in 2018. The runtime is about 1 hour and 22 minutes. It's directed by Michael Lamel and April Marcel, who happen to play the lead characters. Description provided by IMDb of the movie is: two married couples set out to go on a trip to a marriage retreat to enhance their marriage, but is faced with a dark evil along the way. As darkness falls upon them, secrets are revealed. Trust is no longer among them, and what is supposed to be a moment of beautiful memories becomes a nightmare. The main characters are Leo, the husband; Dessa, who's played by April Marcel, one of the directors; Race, which is a friend and also somebody who's going along with the trip with them; Virginia, another friend who's going along the trip with them; and a creepy mother. So the movie starts with the lead character, Dessa, having a nightmare. The nightmare is about a girl named Daisy running through the woods to hide from what we can only assume to be Daisy's father. Dessa wakes up and tells her husband about what's going on in the dream. He assures her that everything's going to be okay. Keep in mind throughout this review, Leo is a kind and attentive husband to his wife. That's very important to remember. The following morning, Dessa and Leo get in their vehicle to go ahead and pick up their friends, Virginia and Race. Before they take off, though, Dessa hangs a small cross from the rearview mirror. Now that's important to remember for later on in the review. We flash over to the two friends, Race and Virginia, who are going to go on this trip with Dessa and Leo. Here's where the problems kind of begin. The audio is so low that the audience can't really hear what they're discussing. We can tell, though, that through the actions that they're arguing. We also find out through some of the audio that they plan on going on this trip with their friends and that it's a marriage retreat. When Dessa and Leo show up, they can see that Race and Virginia got into an argument. Leo convinces Race to go along with the trip. We then move scene to where the unknown woman the creepy mother referred to earlier is walking around a barn with a machete. Now, if you look closely, that woman should look familiar. If not, let me let you know what's going on here. That's Daphne Reed, the second Aunt Viv in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I know. If you gotta look a little hard, but you'll see it. But that's her. I don't know how they conned her into doing this movie. I'm not counting nobody's pockets. Maybe she needed a change. Well, while Aunt Viv is walking around, flashes of the unknown little girl are shown. She's dancing for her dad, but she really isn't dancing. She's more or less just running around flailing her arms like a dying bird. And her dad tells her to dance the devil away. That's right. If you don't want the devil in your life, just bust out a moonwalk. He takes off. I guess that's what the Bible says. I'm not quite sure about that one. Dance and the devil gets out of your system. That's a new one on me. We flash now back to Aunt Viv, and she hits a slab of concrete with a machete for no apparent reason at all. Then we move scene back to the group, where they seem to have a great conversation going. Dessa asks Leo to check the car because she smells gas. Because we all know that if you smell gas, that's your first indication that your car has run out of gas, right? Right. Leo encourages her to relax and says he got it. Leo tells the group that they're not going to run out of gas and reminds them of the activities he has planned for their trip. About the 11:30 mark, shit gets stupid. Virginia gets upset because Dessa suggests to her and Race that they need to listen to each other more. Out of nowhere, Virginia says that Dessa cheated on her husband Leo. Dessa tells Virginia that she was only trying to help, and Leo tells everybody to calm down. Virginia then tells the group that nobody thinks Dessa got raped and that she put an innocent man in jail to save her marriage. Now we got to hold up about that.
Oh, so you have a nerve, Miss cheat on her husband?
I didn't cheat on Leo, Virginia. You know that.
Look, I'm sorry, but I'm tired of you and Leo acting like the perfect couple, like y'all don't have any troubles. I'm tired of y'all looking down on me and Race.
I wasn't looking down on your Race. Where did all this come from? I was just trying to help, Virginia. And me and Leo are not trying to be the perfect couple. We just want to have a good freaking trip, and we choose not to dwell on all this negative bull. You know what I mean?
Look, baby, calm down. Well, everyone just calm down. And how about we just try to relate of what? Think about some more positive things. How about that?
Man, how could you say that? I'm your friend, Virginia.
That's right. I am your friend, and I'm going to be real with you. No one thinks you were raped. It's your word against his. Everyone believes that you put an innocent man behind bars just to save your marriage.
What is wrong?
This is your close family friend taking you on a trip to a marriage retreat, and you bust out into a group with her husband sitting right next to her, that the whole thing about her being raped was made up and she put an innocent man in jail. This is also the first time the audience gets notified that Dessa even got raped in the first place. Why would you bring that up on a road trip with your homegirl and her husband to a marriage retreat? That's random and out of nowhere. Anyways, Dessa gets upset and claims that they are no longer friends, her and Virginia, and tells Leo to take her home. He tells her that he can't take her home because they just ran out of gas. Because after all, it's not a good movie if you don't name the movie in the movie, right? So we cut scene back to Aunt Viv hallucinating on a mattress floor in the barn. She's having visions of the girl, supposedly, I guess it's her as a child, being told by her father to kill a chicken and eat it raw, and that'll get the devil out of her. Now let's pause on that for a second. So, dancing the devil away didn't work. So the only other way that you can come up with is to eat a chicken raw, and that'll get the devil out of you. You tell that to a little girl. That's supposed to make sense to who in this movie? Because we both know that's not how you get rid of the devil at all. Dancing didn't work. Now you gotta eat a chicken. So you mean to tell me that I gotta get salmonella in order to get the devil out of my back? Come on, man. It gets a little crazy. It even gets crazier as we listen on. Changing scenes, we go back to the group. Race is basically telling Virginia that she was fucked up for what she did about the rape situation. Leo apologized to Dessa for running out of gas, and also that he wasn't there to protect her when she did get raped way back. Leo talks Dessa into resuming the trip, but keep in mind, Leo is a complete gentleman. He's still a gentleman the entire time. Leo tells the group that the trip is still on. He convinces his wife that she's going to still go along with it, and if there's a gas station only a mile away. Well, apparently about this time, the cameraman gets an onset of Parkinson's because the camera starts shaking all crazy. You can't even see what's going on. It's like, it makes you dizzy. It's like the cameraman's twerking with the camera or something. We don't know what's going on with this camera situation. The group is walking to a gas station, but they begin walking from a different location from where they parked just the scene prior. You'll see it in the whole scheme of things. Virginia apologizes to Dessa and later reveals that the reason why she's acting crazy is because she's pregnant. As Virginia and Dessa speak, we can tell that they must use two different cameras or different resolutions or something, because in one instance, the shot is crystal clear, and the next, the whole shot is blurry like there's jizz on the camera or something. I don't understand that either. As the men talk, Leo gives advice to Race. Virginia complains about the walking, and then she collapses off camera. So Virginia then tells Race while she's collapsed that she's pregnant, which makes Race faint. So they're both knocked out. Once again, Aunt Viv is having visions of her childhood, and she's running around a fire for her dad. Then we switch back again to the group, who walks back to the truck because both Race and Virginia had fainted 2 different times. So they walk back to the truck. And keep in mind, earlier he said that they ran out of gas. They then get in the vehicle, start it up, and continue to drive to the gas station. They just said they ran out of gas, and now they're driving to the gas station after just a few scenes prior, the truck had come to a stop because they ran out of gas. Once again, we're back to Aunt Viv and her visions. She's around a water basin, and she's washing her face, and her dad is watching her while he's eating an apple, sitting in the chair. They're out in some field somewhere. The girl stops washing her face, gets up, and snatches the knife away from her dad that he was using to cut up the apple. He laughs at her. She sticks out her hand. He gives her the apple he was eating, and then she leans in and stabs him in the neck, and he collapses dead. Just collapses dead. Then she stands over him, eating the apple that she just took from her now dead dad. But if you're also looking close enough, you can see that the dad is still breathing, chest going up and down the whole time. So this next part gets a little bit confusing. The group is in the vehicle. They're driving towards this supposed gas station. like maybe 2 miles an hour or so. They're not driving fast at all. The little girl, Daisy, the nightmare vision, runs out into the road and gets hit by the vehicle. Everybody screams. They get out of the vehicle to inspect what's going on. The little girl is gone. They look at Desa, because Desa is apparently the only person who saw this little girl run out into the roadway. So they stare at Desa like she's crazy. She starts protesting that she saw a girl in the road, but you hear the thump of the car hitting something solid. They all get out to investigate it, but now all of a sudden we all got to pretend like we didn't see this girl in the road and that only Desa saw this girl in the road. So they get back in the vehicle and start driving off again. As they're driving away, Desa looks over to the side of the road and sees a little girl standing up with blood coming out of her mouth, just watching them drive away, all goofy looking. So our group of friends pull up to a barn seemingly owned by Aunt Viv, and the only way we can determine that is when they pull up, Aunt Viv sees them, she gets spooked, she goes and runs and hides. As they pull into the property area of the barn, they run out of gas again. Now it must be cold outside because Aunt Viv's nipples were sticking through her shirt like nobody business. Like they were looking right and perky. I was like, for an older lady, you got some things going on there. Anyway, the two men get out of the vehicle to investigate the area while the women remain inside. While the men are gone, Desa claims that she recognizes the area from an article she read in the newspaper. She says, I just read an article in the paper about this place. There was a murder here. A little girl had apparently killed her father. Now, here's where I'm a little confused. If we're meant to believe that Aunt Viv, as a child, went through these occurrences, and I can understand, the audience can understand, Aunt Viv having visions of her childhood, how her dad mistreated her and everything else. We can understand that. What we can understand is, how did Desa wind up having visions of the same girl in a nightmare way before they arrived to this barn? I'm lost here. Somebody explain that to me. So the men walk around the area announcing that they ran out of gas and they need help, while Aunt Viv sneaks around with her machete. Race runs out of the barn that he just entered in, screaming because he sees chicken guts everywhere and it spooked him out. So everybody gets back into the vehicle except for Leo. He stays outside. Out of nowhere, some kind of sharp stick is seen hurling through the air. It's like it's spitting through the air. It's a sharp wooden stick, believed to be a spear or arrow. We don't know what it is. It flies through the air, makes an impact sound. You see Leo standing around looking lost, and then he collapses.
We just need some help. We don't mean you any harm. We don't want you to come.
Of course, Desa gets out to go ahead and help her husband. She urges Race to get out and try to help, but he's like, initially, fuck that, I'm not going out there. He eventually gets talked into going out to help Leo. They wind up helping Leo, who's walking to the van. However, there is no blood or tears on Leo's pants. The only indication that we got of him being injured is that he's limping and grabbing onto his leg. Aunt Viv walks out of the barn. Everybody screams. She then turns around and walks right back inside. She just walks back inside the barn. Nobody bothers her. Virginia gets mad and demands to know who's behind the attacks and blames the little girl. Now, nobody saw the little girl except for Desa at first. Nobody saw the little girl. So how is Virginia going to blame the little girl for these attacks when she clearly sees a grown adult woman with a machete come out of a barn, wave it at them, and then walk back inside the barn? Why not blame the old lady? Why are you blaming this little girl that you've never seen before, never met? That makes no sense as far as this movie goes. Desa reveals that the little girl that they saw in her visions, or that she saw in her visions, was actually that adult woman. She now put two and two together. That's one and the same person. So Leo tells the group that he had a gun the whole time, which Race gets pissed off and he grabs it. He does the same silly shit that they do all the time with these movies and guns. You have to cock it. You have to, no matter how the weapon looks or what it is, you have to cock it. You have to do the dramatic you have to do it.
Baby, where are your keys?
In my pocket.
I don't know why they have to do that all the time. He didn't check to see if there was a round in the chamber. He didn't check anything. You just had to do that sound, right? So that's why he did that. The worst of the two Aunt Vivs, which is the second one, comes out of the barn again while this loud suspense music blares over the speakers, drowning everything out. Nightfall comes, and then that's when Virginia decides to take her old pregnant ass out of the vehicle to confront the crazy woman and to obtain a gas can. So you're wondering, okay, Virginia, you're married, you got a husband who's got a gun. Why not have the husband with the gun go in the barn to confront this woman instead of you, and you're supposedly pregnant? Well, Race had fallen asleep while they were all waiting in the truck wondering what to do next, which made Virginia get upset and want to go confront the lady herself. So she gets out of the van, or correction, out of the truck. When all of her friends are yelling at her to get back inside the vehicle, she ignores them. But your husband's asleep through all this. Keep in mind, it's only an SUV. It's not that big. So with it being not that big, if my friends are shouting at my girl to come back to the vehicle, of course I'm going to wake up. What the fuck's going on? But no, he sleeps through the whole thing while she walks her ass into the barn. Now, this next couple sequences get really, really fucking stupid. Virginia walks into the barn screaming that she ain't here to play. She's from the streets. Aunt Viv comes up from behind her and wraps like probably the world's skinniest piece of rope around her neck. Now, I guess people from the streets don't get choked often because she died in like 5 seconds. Like, completely dead. Choked out with a rope by an old lady in 5 seconds. Aunt Viv then drags Virginia into a caged area, like a little fenced-in caged area inside the barn, and tries to tie one end of the rope up to make it look like Virginia probably David Carradine herself. If you don't know who David Carradine is, shame on you. You need to know who David Carradine is. To make it seem like that happened, but the rope doesn't tie right, so she just says, fuck it, and just lets the rope drop, leaving Virginia on the floor, and she walks out and goes hide in the darkness. A few minutes later, Race comes into the barn. I guess somebody woke him up. He comes into the barn with a gun, looks around, sees his wife laid out in this fenced-in area. Now, the door to the fenced-in area is shut, but it's not locked. There's no kind of locking mechanism on it. There's nothing. It's not even locked. But he goes up to the gate like the freaking Ultimate Warrior and starts shaking it like the Ultimate Warrior shakes the ropes. He's shaking the fence, but he could just push the gate open and go on in and get his wife, but he doesn't. He shakes there screaming her name. Out of nowhere, Aunt Viv comes up with her machete, slashes him in the back. He dies, collapsing through the gate that he couldn't open to get his wife. He just falls through the gate. The gate just opens up for him, and he collapses on the floor. He just collapses on the floor. But if you look at his back, though, there's no slash marks, no blood, no torn clothing, nothing. His clothes is fresh out the damn dryer. There's no damage on him at all. Now, Dessa comes in because she doesn't want to be the only one left out of this complete shit show. She walks into the barn. She sees her two dead friends, backs up, turns around and sees murderous old Aunt Viv. She tells the murderer of her friends that she doesn't have to do this anymore. She could be free. Her dad's not there anymore to torment her. She doesn't have to kill anymore. So, I don't know if you recall, a few scenes ago, she wound up hanging this gold cross from the rearview mirror. She brought that in the barn with her. She then shows it to Aunt Viv and presents it to her as a gift. The murderer / Aunt Viv / this creepy girl that grew up to be a murderous adult takes the gold cross, laughs maniacally, and then walks off camera. never to be seen again. We don't see her again for the rest of the movie. She's fucking gone. You mean to tell me, let's pause for a second here. You mean to tell me that this crazy lady supposedly stabbed your husband in the leg with a homemade spear? Same crazy lady kills your homegirl by strangling her. Same crazy lady stabs your homeboy in the back, killing him. And you give this bitch a gift? You give her a gift for the shit? What kind of friend are you? What kind of friend are you? That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. She gives her a gold necklace, says, you don't have to kill no more. Girl says, all right, well, I guess I don't, and walks the fuck off screen. You don't see her for the rest of the movie. What's the justice? Where's the payoff for us seeing her do all this stuff to your friends? Meanwhile, back at the vehicle, Leo is asleep. He fell asleep. His friends are out there in a creepy bar and he falls asleep. Everybody's falling asleep around here. Dessa comes back to the truck and starts it because Leo is now in the passenger seat. Starts it. They drive away in the same SUV that they never put gas into. 4 scenes ago, they ran out of gas. 3 scenes ago, they ran out of gas. Now you could drive your car. I don't know. Maybe they got electric. I don't know what's going on with this vehicle. This is the most amazing vehicle ever, to where you could run out of gas and just refills itself. Where do you sell those? Let me get 2. So in our next scene, an unknown amount of time has passed between the time that they escaped this murderous lady and them getting back home. Apparently they made it home safely. Dessa out of nowhere starts blaming Leo for the deaths of Virginia and Race. Leo tells Dessa that he understands, it's been a traumatic incident. Things were a little bit crazy. She's traumatized and she's coming up with excuses. So then he tries to console her. He tries to kiss her. She backs up. He gets pissed off and he storms away. That's the end of that scene. We cut to the next scene where they're in a car. They're in their same SUV, driving to an unknown location. Hopefully they got gas this time. They drive to an unknown location at night. I need you to remember this. At night, they're driving to an unknown location. Dessa continues to push the issue about the friend's death and thinking that her husband had something to do with it. She even points out that when they were bringing him back to the truck, he didn't have no marks on him, no scratches, no injuries, no nothing. He wants to know what's going on. Leo once again tells her, things were traumatic. He doesn't remember everything that happened. Things happened so fast. Dessa then out of nowhere says she's leaving Leo. She's going to divorce him because she thinks something happened between him and her friends. She wants a divorce. Just off the assumption alone, that's strength enough. The guy's been a complete gentleman, making sure she was okay and safe through the duration of this movie so far. And you say, fuck you, I'm gonna divorce you because I think something squirrely went down between you and my friends. So he stops the vehicle to address this situation. She gets out and starts walking away. She's like, I'm done with you. She starts walking away. She runs into the woods. Runs into some nearby woods that he just pulls over to stop at. So imagine my surprise when the next scene we see Dessa is in the woods walking away, I guess, from the roadway where she left her husband, and it's completely daytime outside. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she's walking through the woods. Now, at night, you were just arguing with your husband in the truck. You get out to get away from him, and now it's daytime. How long were you fucking walking? Leo's walking behind her, and of course, at this point in the movie, they gotta pretend like they don't see each other. Even though there is a paved pathway through the woods that they're walking on together, he's got to pretend like he doesn't see the actress playing freaking Dessa walking a few feet ahead of him. He's got to look around like, where are you? Where are you? And he tells her that he's not going to hurt her. He just wants her to be okay and all this other stuff. But you can barely tell that he's saying, I'm not going to hurt you, because this loud ass suspense music starts drowning out everything that he's saying.
Jess! I'm not gonna hurt you.
Dessa, of course, hears her husband coming, and she does this incredibly crappy job of hiding behind a tree, only to get caught by Leo. So she gets choked and she passes out. Next thing you know, we see Leo digging a hole next to what we believe is Dessa's lifeless body. But guess what? Dessa isn't dead. She wakes up and Leo's kneeling beside her. He admits that he did it for her, implying that he brought Race and Virginia to the barn to be killed by the Aunt Viv lady. When Dessa asks him why, he confesses that
It's all ruined now. It's your fault.
What are you talking about?
I did this for her.
Did what? Did what for who? Wait. You knew that woman that killed Race in Virginia?
She's my mother.
the crazy Viv Banks is actually his mother. He punches Dessa in the face and knocks her out again. Now, this motherfucker had 2 opportunities to kill his wife and bury her in the woods. He's covered in sweat from digging a grave. He drinks a little bit of water because for some reason he had the foresight to bring a shovel and water to a situation he did not know that he was going to kill his wife. He didn't know that. They were just having an argument in the car. She gets out to run. He had the knowledge and forethought to bring a shovel and water with him during this situation. Anywho, he pours some water on Dessa's face, which wakes her up. Dessa begs Leo not to hurt her. He responds by yelling at his wife,
Mother's a serial killer.
because we all know that is how serial killing works. If your mama's one, then you're one. Because duh, we all know that is how serial killing works. It's obviously hereditary. If your mama is a serial killer, then you're a serial killer. It's fucking science. Leo drags Dessa to the world's shallowest grave and puts her in it. And this bitch lets him do it. She just goes along with it, just, oh no, and he just drags her over and puts her in this shallow ass grave. So Leo's just standing around thinking about whatever the fuck he's thinking about. And Dessa stands up. Just stands up. Why? Because the grave is so shallow. The grave is only an ankle deep. So she just stands up and starts rubbing him on the back. She tells Leo that she gave his mother the cross and that because of the cross, she gave up killing. Dessa then convinces Leo to give her his shovel and that they could work on their marriage. Now, this motherfucker just tried to kill you. I understand that in the movie, you're probably trying to convince him to buy time, which is what she did. But come on, how does Leo believe this shit? Anyway, he believes her, gives her the shovel, and for no reason at all, turns his back to her. Right there, just turns his back. As soon as he gives her the shovel, turns his back to her, which she uses to knock him in the back of the head, knocking him down as she runs away, leaving him in the woods.
Anything to forget that.
But I'm here for you. Please, give it to me. It's okay. You can trust me. Give it to me.
On what we can only assume to be the next day, Dessa returns to the place she left Leo wearing the same clothes that she was just getting drug all through the mud in, and with a sweaty lesbian playing an investigator about the previous night's events. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Anubis, do you know that she's a lesbian? No. Is there anything wrong with being a lesbian? Of course not. But if it walks like a duck and looks like a duck, the shit ain't a banana. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, Leo isn't there. He's gone. We move to the next scene to Dessa's sister's house, her name is Jackie. Side note, out of all the acting I saw in this movie, Jackie had the best acting. She had the best acting. Her stuff is more fluid. Her stuff made a little bit more sense than everybody else's acting in their action. So big ups to whoever played Jackie. Jackie cheers up Dessa, We move to the interior of Jackie's house where she's speaking about Leo. The audio at this point does nobody's favor because it seems like Jackie's shouting, but Dessa's being like a mumble rapper or something. She's... We can't understand what she's really saying. But they talk about the warning signs that Leo was an abusive husband. Now, remember, I said he was a complete gentleman throughout the entire movie. He always made sure she was okay until this most recent scene in the woods. But the reasons that they came up with that as signs of him being an abusive husband was one time he got mad at a waitress for bringing out the wrong order. That's one example that they gave. Another example that they gave of him being an abusive husband was that Dessa put her shoes in a closet that he spent a little bit of time organizing, and he got upset about that and wound up reorganizing the closet because she put her shoes in there without thinking. Those are the only two examples. There was no example of him putting his hands on her, beating her, alienating her from family. None of the simple signs that you know of an abusive husband or boyfriend. None of that stuff was existent. It was just he got mad at a waitress for bringing the wrong order, and he got mad at her for putting her shoes in the closet that he just spent all this time organizing. So how was he abusive again? What are the signs? This is when it hit me. This is when this whole situation hit me. I was stuck believing that this movie was supposed to be a ghost story because it started off with ghosts and apparitions and visions. Then it became a domestic violence movie. So I'm like, these people ran out of options. They ran out of topic to go with. I think they read the script, thought the script was nice, went through with it, and realized, oh shit, we still got a whole lot of time to fill. Writing it is not as long as shooting it. And they ran out of material. So they said, well, what do we do? Oh, let's make it a domestic violence thing because we ran out of some other things. It seems like 2, maybe 3 scripts were merged into one movie because the ghost thing is over with. So now we got to go with what else? The domestic violence thing. Jackie and Dessa pull up to a building that has a support group for victims of domestic violence, and they're having a meeting. As typical for the support group scenes, somebody has to introduce themselves and then tell their story. 1 or 2 people usually do that. So we get introduced to Lola. Lola says that her husband burned her alive 2 years ago because he didn't want her sleeping with other men. He didn't want that vision in his head, so he thought if he burned her, she would be unattractive and therefore men would not sleep with her. Out of nowhere, Leo's hand comes from behind Dessa and grabs her. She freaks out. Everybody's like, what's going on? And it was just a vision or just a feeling, but he wasn't actually there. After the meeting's over, Jackie introduces Dessa to this light-skinned dude named Zeus. I'm like, Zeus? He doesn't fit the name. Even if you're listening, he does not fit the name. He's not swole, jacked in no way. He's just an average-looking guy, and his name is Zeus. Zeus talks to Dessa about Leo, and he tells her that he's from a group called the Take It By Force organization, which sounds super rapey. The Take It By Force organization? What do you do there? What is that about? They go into a little bit of detail on what the Take It By Force is if police can't do what they're supposed to do and arrest certain people and apprehend certain subjects, they go take their lives back by force. That's what that's supposed to be. Right. Zeus tells her not to worry. He's got a really big guy, a real big guy. That's all he can say, is watching over Dessa. And if Leo makes a move, then he'll be there to intervene. So we go back to Jackie's house where the Take It By Force group is having a meeting. They're talking to Dessa about what they should do about Leo. They tell her instead of waiting for Leo to get caught, they should go together to find him and catch him themselves. Zeus then tells his tragic story about being abused in a boys' home and that he found pictures of little boys in the boys' home's superintendent's desk drawer. So, wait a minute. We got serial killing, domestic violence, people getting burned, murder. What else can we throw in there? Oh, how about child porn? We're running on all cylinders. We want to make sure that we touch every sensitive subject that there is to touch. We got rape. We got everything in here. We got everything involved right now. all in one movie. You couldn't just keep it to one specific topic. We got to go through a lot of different options here. So they lumped every major tragedy that you could think of into one movie together. Try to make it as fleshed out as possible. The group decides as a whole to convince Dessa to go ahead and go through the project of catching Leo, which she agrees. The meeting is ended. We see Jackie either entering her home from something. We don't know how long of a time happened after the meeting and after this next set of events happened, but we see Jackie entering her house where the meeting was just the scene prior. We see Jackie entering the house, and as soon as she's entering the house, she leaves the front door open. Leo walks his ass in and grabs her and throws her down on the couch. Now, you'd think that this motherfucker would have learned his lesson about turning his back on women after Dessa just hit him in the back of the head with a shovel. But the guy, it turns his back onto Jackie, and he goes down. So instead of finishing the guy off, Jackie did what a lot of hood folks do in movies. She started talking shit. So then, while she's talking shit and screaming for Dessa, she turns her back on Leo. Everybody in this movie is turning their back on each other. Who the fuck's turning their back this much in a movie? Everybody's turning their back on each other. So she turns her back onto Leo, and of course, Leo gets up, grabs Jackie around the back of the neck, and squeezes her neck. Of course, in seconds, just like the other lady, dead. In seconds. So as it turns out, Dessa was asleep in another room in the house during the entire event. For some reason, she slept through the yelling, the fighting, the everything. She slept through all that, but woke up to answer her phone. Phone, mind you, that didn't ring or vibrate. I rewound it, played it again. It doesn't ring or vibrate. She just wakes up and all of a sudden she sees that her phone is ringing. Zeus on the phone. Zeus tells her, hey, you need to get up. We're about to go ahead and catch Leo. Dessa calls out to her sister but doesn't hear her answer back. She calls out again. She doesn't hear her answer back. So she tells Zeus to hold on. She's got to find out what's going on. She then sets her phone down on the bed and goes off to investigate without taking her phone with her, because that's what the fuck you do in movies. That's a very common sense thing to do. You're on the phone with somebody who could render help if they need to, and you leave your phone on the bed and go venture off into the darkness to try to find out what happened to your sister. Now, I don't know what kind of Scooby-Doo ass room they got. They got a weird fun house style house here, because not even a couple seconds later, Leo enters the same room that Dessa just walked out of, sees her phone on the bed, picks that up, and takes it with him. Somehow they don't even meet each other or see each other or hear each other. Dessa then goes into the room that she sees her sister dead on. She sees her sister dead on the couch and screams. Then she tries to get help. Leo and Dessa then bump into each other. And Leo tells Dessa that he's never going to hurt her. He would never hurt her. Because she's supposed to forget that you telling her that you're a serial killer because your mama's a serial killer, you leading two of her friends to death, you damn near or pretty much killed her sister, you tried to kill her, she's going to pretend now that you're not going to hurt her. So Dessa lets Leo get close enough to punch her in the face and knock her out. That's the end of the scene. That's the end of that scene.
I wouldn't hurt you.
Don't hurt me, Leo.
Dessa wakes up from being knocked out for like the fourth time in a row, and she's back in Leo's truck. Hopefully he got gas. Her hands are tied with what looks like a jump rope or something. Leo notices that there's an unknown vehicle following from behind, so he gets out to investigate. Then shit goes straight into what the fuck mode. Leo gets out of the truck to find out who's following him. Dessa, who was only bound by the hands left in the passenger seat, she just opens the door and gets out, runs away. He didn't lock the doors, didn't do anything. He just let her get out and she runs away. Out of nowhere, Jackie's truck pulls up, apparently runs over Leo, but it happens off screen. We can only see Jackie leaning out of the driver's side of the vehicle, talking shit to supposed Leo, who's on the ground right below the, keep in mind, the driver's side of the vehicle. Jackie finishes talking her shit. She drives off. She's swerving side to side of the roadway like she's dodging invisible cars or something. We don't know what's going on with that. We pan back and we see the big guy that Zeus was talking about earlier standing over Leo, who is on the passenger side of the road, apparently dead.
So you want to beat on winning? Beat on that. Beat on that. I told you.
I don't know how in the world of fucking physics you can get fucking Sherlock Holmes, you can get Sir Isaac Newton, you can get Hercule Poirot, you can get whoever you want to try to figure this shit out and you won't make sense. How the hell you ran over somebody and you're leaning out of the driver's side of the vehicle talking shit to him, but then when you drive away seconds later he's on the passenger side, way on the side of the road, damn near in the grass, supposedly dead. I'm lost on that one. The next scene is apparently a couple of days or whatever after the events that what happened earlier. We see Dessa and Jackie sitting on a bench. They talk about how Jackie is somewhat of a gangster because she wound up running over Leo, but there's no word if Leo is actually dead or not. We don't know. They didn't say anything about a funeral, any kind of autopsy, anything like that. Nothing about police reports, nothing. Jackie finishes up the conversation with her sister and says she's going to head to the truck. Dessa says she needs a minute to think, so she's going to stay on the park bench. Okay. Jackie's off screen. Dessa sits there thinking about what's going on. Not even a couple seconds later, she gets up to go to Jackie's truck. Now, for some reason, through the entire movie, we didn't go in a first-person mode. But now it's in first-person mode while she's walking back to the truck. Dessa goes into the vehicle, all in first person. We're viewing everything through Dessa's eyes at this point. She goes up to the truck. She gets in. She's talking about she's ready to go. No word from Jackie, who's in the driver's seat. She slowly looks over. Of course, the camera has to pan slowly over to Jackie, who is in the driver's seat. She shakes her sister. Her sister collapses into her lap. She's dead. Dessa then screams. End scene. The next scene we see Leo driving away in his SUV, looking menacingly into the rearview mirror, just looking all into the rearview mirror, and the movie ends. So we get no payoff in any of this. The killer, aka Aunt Viv, aka Daisy, the little girl who grows up to be a serial killing adult, she winds up getting away with a gold fucking chain. Leo is completely unscathed, completely uncut by police. He's still gone on about his way. I guess the fucking Take It By Force team didn't do jack shit. Dessa's alive. Sister's dead. Everybody's dead fucking around with damn Dessa's ass. So as the scene rolls to the end, credits roll, I'm scrolling down my notes and I say, you know what? This movie keeps on giving me gems. Because as I referred to earlier, the sweaty lesbian, yeah, she's mentioned in there too as an investigator. But they didn't bother using spell check worth a damn because there's no I in investigator. It's just investigator. You didn't even fucking use spell check in the credit scene. This fucking movie. Hey, it looks like you made it to the end. If you like this review and want to hear more, feel free to like and subscribe. Also, if you notice anything in the movie that I might have overlooked, feel free to let me know in the comments section.